I mean, at Coastal, I just did whatever was necessary for us to win. You know, at Michigan, Juwan told me to come in and just be me. So I'm not really a scoring guard. That was just something I had to do when I was at Coastal. I love passing the ball. So I'm coming in the perfect situation. I'm coming in passing the ball to guys I know that can knock down shots. I know that can make plays on their own. So it's just been an easy transition.
I think we're still kind of the underdogs. Like, we're not overwhelmingly picked to, win the conference. We still are like battling with Purdue and like a lot of polls to see, who's going to win the conference. And, we're not ranked number 1 in the country. So I feel like, that was the line. He said, we're not the hunted, we're the hunter. No pun intended.
And use this as motivation for a bounce back instead of, like I said, no pointing fingers, no blaming nobody, no blaming the coaches, refs. Just an opportunity to pick each other up and just keep rolling.
We're moving on. It didn't ruin our season. We still got everything we want in front of us. We're going to win out and kind of just let it be the past. Tough loss, but.
All right. Good afternoon. It's Afternoon Live. I'm Dennis Fithian, and there he is on the screen, the publisher of TMBR, Josh Henschke. Josh, great to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dennis. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. For people that are trying to guess who those players were talking right there, you had Zach Zinter, David Ajabo, Hunter Dickinson, and Devontae Jones, and those latter two there are going to be involved in action tonight. First glimpse for a lot of Michigan fans of this year's Michigan basketball team. And it's just really, before we get going anywhere, it's an exciting weekend. Like, it's an exciting week here at TMBR as we launched off, but now you got the hockey team at a home and home. You've got the football team coming back home and trying to get things going, right? And then, as mentioned, basketball in action. There's probably like 4 or 5 other things I could mention as well. But, let's start right there.
Yeah, busy weekend. Tis the season for everything kind of gelling into one. This is the fun time of year where, everything's going on at once and everything's busy. And hopefully there's plenty of winning. It's good for business. So we shall see. But yeah, I mean, big bounce back opportunity for Michigan this weekend against Indiana. Obviously against Michigan State in hockey, it's always a good matchup, rivalry. You know how that goes. And then in basketball, it's exhibition, so not a whole lot you can really glean from it. But it's enough to whet the appetite of basketball fans until the season tip off next week against Buffalo.
Well, it's better than just it's more important than just business, man. I think it's for people's mental health. You got to get some wins here. Yeah. You can say, hey, it's just a game and everything else, but I just saw how everybody felt. Well, how I felt myself, after last weekend. So, yeah, I mean, it's just good all around to get some W's and put some get the bad taste out of your mouth, whatever way you want to put it, man. And I'm all about that. So we'll start with a football game. Tomorrow. It's a night game, a little odd. There have been a few night games now. I don't know if do you feel like the specialness of the night game at Michigan has worn off a little bit? Where are you at with that?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, November night games in Michigan aren't exactly my idea of a great time. Indiana is not very good this year. I mean, it's just, and you're coming off a really tough loss against Michigan State. It's just everything about this game kind of screams just blah to me. I mean, it's just going to be a very blah game anyway. This should be a game that Michigan wins walking away. But yeah, I mean, it's still cool. I mean, the night game against Washington was a cool experience. I mean, if you can start scheduling night games and have night games against more exciting, important opponents, more intriguing opponents earlier in the year, that would probably be best. But yeah, like I said, November night games, unless it's, a more marquee opponent, marquee game, really does nothing for me.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit tricky. You're right about it being in November, but tomorrow it looks like the weather is going to be a little bit better. I remember a couple of years ago they played Minnesota in a night game, and man, it was it wasn't quite freezing, but it was close to freezing, and it was just raining down. I got dropped off at the corner of Stadium in Maine to go to the press box. It was really about 50 feet to walk. And by the time I get in there, I was like, man.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I was 2 minutes out in that. But the thing, when you have a great matchup like you talk about with Washington, it's a night game, man. It's a party all day long, and it's a great game as well. The tailgating aspect of a night game, I've been through that a few times here, where there's been those Notre Dame games. Speaking of another downpour against Notre Dame, I think that was 3 years ago, the last time the two teams, Michigan wiped them out there. But it's a great day in Ann Arbor to be down there, golf course or wherever we're at, and it looks like it's going to be dry. So it's all systems go as far as the party goes, tailgate wise. So there's something for you.
Yeah, I mean, from a fan perspective, I mean, a night game is always fun. And plus the bonus, of course, is that the weather is going to cooperate. Hopefully, it is Michigan after all. So we'll see. I mean, I was asked, yesterday what kind of fan response would happen to tomorrow, in terms of the overall attitude of the fan base who attends the game. And I thought, it's like, the people will kind of think about the Michigan State game and be kind of down about it. But as soon as Michigan scores or makes some type of big play, a turnover or whatever, I think pretty much people will start to forget about that and start to get excited. So it'll be a fascinating atmosphere. I think personally, I think people will be excited about it. I mean, it's Michigan Stadium at night. It's always from a atmospheric perspective, I think it's a pretty cool experience that everyone should witness at least once in their life.
It is. I would suggest going out there and putting up a lot of points. The first half, the last time they were at Michigan Stadium, they played Northwestern, and at the half, it was at 10-7, I think, at the half. And I wasn't, it's great going down there and everything, but I wasn't sitting there at the half thinking, oh man, this is bowling me over with entertainment. So it would be good for Michigan to get up early and make some big plays. I wanted to ask you about just what you expect to happen. It's not the biggest thing, but one of the things, a star was born last week in East Lansing for the East Lansing, the pride of East Lansing and Andrell Anthony. And it wasn't like he just came up with that one big catch. They were looking for him in the fourth quarter when he had 6 catches, whatever it was, 2 scores. I don't think he's a one-trick pony. I think that they will continue to go to him. He might be their best wide receiver moving forward, which would be great. But to me, that's one of the big stories here as you go in to see the kid. Really, I mean, he played in that Northwestern game, so he was coming along. There was some evidence there, but now the people are expecting a lot from number 1 in the maize and blue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a fluke that he did what he did against Michigan State on Saturday. I mean, this wasn't just a courtesy from Harbaugh saying, "Hey, you know what? Go out there and entertain your home fans and home high school fans." Harbaugh has been saying for weeks that Andrell Anthony has been progressing and coming along, and his time will come. I think Saturday was that moment where you can think, okay, what Harbaugh has been saying is legitimate. He's been coming along and he's been earning this time. So, especially with Roman Wilson kind of, banged up and not effective as he was early in the year, I think you'll definitely see more of Andrell Anthony as the season, heads towards its end here. If he can continue to find himself in open space, he's going to get the ball. So, yeah, I mean, it's exciting for Michigan from an offensive perspective that they have another wide receiver that they can choose from. Obviously, you've got Cornelius Johnson who can do what he can do. Mikey Singer still can do what he can do. But obviously, losing a guy like Ronnie Bell, I mean, we've talked about it all year. I mean, you can see that you're missing him. Not only from a run blocking perspective, but obviously from a production standpoint as well, with catches and touchdowns and things like that. So having another guy that Cade can throw to is huge. I mean, especially with a guy with speed like his and the athleticism. We saw in a couple of plays, the back corner catch with his second touchdown. Obviously, the first touchdown where he just basically ran away from everyone. almost a third with the flea flicker just out of reach. There's a lot of things he can do, and he's only going to get better over time. So the more he can see the field, honestly, the better for just Michigan as a whole.
I remember what I thought about in the off season of Indiana. They had that original schedule that came out where Michigan was traveling to Bloomington like they did last year. They had Michigan State at home, and then they changed it, and they have Indiana coming in. Michigan State, was last week on the road, and I thought, that's good. Michigan, they got to beat Michigan State no matter what, and State still coming along here, and the Hoosiers were a sneaky little pick with Michael Penix. Let's be honest, Tom Allen, what they did last year, and we see how things have shaken out. And I know Tom Allen will have watched the game last week. I think one of the other things to keep an eye on here is just how Michigan deals with their substitution pattern, the tempo that we're all sure that the Hoosiers are going to go out there and play hurry up, and just Michigan needs to let's see that they've got a handle on that. I would imagine that was one of their points of emphasis this week in practice.
Yeah, I mean, they talked about it during the week. That was something that they have to fix. So, this weekend and likely multiple weekends ahead, because Penn State also runs tempo, Maryland runs tempo, obviously Ohio State does too. This is going to be a test for them. This is not just the one-off. Teams are going to run tempo on them, and they've said that this is something that needs to be fixed. Not something that's impossible to fix. So, we'll see if that is going to happen on Saturday. I mean, I think it might be an easier test than the week prior against Michigan State and then upcoming against Penn State. But at least showing signs of progress in that department would be a step in the right direction. Being able to adjust and adapt. I think that's something that Mike McDonald has done really well with this year, is kind of looking at his defense and adjusting and adapting at halftime and making adjustments here and there. I think he's done a pretty good job with that. Obviously last week he was exposed a little bit, so we'll see. This is, again, another big test for a young defensive coordinator. We've talked about it all year. How can a young first-time play caller and Mike McDonald, how can he adapt and things like that? And this is just another step towards his overall growth as a coordinator, and to see if there's progress and for lack of better words, hope for the rest of the year.
Good transition, because rest of the year, including tomorrow, there are 4 games and then a bowl game, and a lot of people in Michigan, you heard Zach Zinter there from his news conference this week saying they're going to win out, and winning out would be awesome. If we're sitting here, as bad as last week was, if Michigan goes out there and wins out, it's going to be a great year. It could be a great year. So they've got 4 games here. How do you think they're going to shake out? Like I think I don't think you're going to pick an upset by the Hoosiers tomorrow. You start with that Penn State game. That seems like a winnable game here for Michigan. I know Penn State played well against Ohio State, and I know the last time that Michigan was there, 19, Ronnie Bell had that catch at the end. So that was, I feel like this is going to be a similar type game, right down to the end and go ahead. Michigan hasn't won in State College since Harbaugh's first year, when Jake Rudock went out there and played well. And then they had that Saquon. I think that was a whiteout night game. Michigan never had a chance in that game. Big plays left and right. So, they can do it. It's been a little bit of a while here, but, that one that I think if they go out and win tomorrow and they go to Happy Valley and come away with a positive result, I think people will be right back up on the horse and feeling good about those, at least those last 2 games. That's as far as I'm at least with this 10 seconds ready to go with the prediction. I'll let you handle the rest of it in the remaining 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, earlier, probably this year, I probably would have predicted Penn State to beat Michigan, just how with everything looked. But now all of a sudden, Penn State's looking a little iffy. They've totally regressed. Obviously, that starts with Sean Clifford not being 100%. We'll see, if that injury continues to bug him throughout the year. But I mean, it's clear, against Illinois, they struggled offensively. Ohio State, they showed some signs of bouncing back, but again, Ohio State's just is Ohio State. They're good. So yeah, I mean, obviously this first week is a big step in the right direction. I think whoever Penn State. I don't even know who Penn State plays this weekend, but how they play this weekend leading up to the Michigan game will obviously be a big indicator about whether they're really serious about turning this around. I mean, you're talking about a 3-game losing streak right now for Penn State, and then obviously the big distraction of James Franklin and his status. Whether he's going to be there next year or not. Will be, there's a lot of factors here. So, and obviously the big thing, the big thing about the game against Penn State is that, this is going to be either a noon or 3:30 kick, which I think benefits Michigan in a big way. Finally not going to Happy Valley and not having to play a night game is good for them. But yeah, again, it starts 1 week at a time with Indiana, and then, we'll see, but all of a sudden Penn State game looks very winnable for Michigan. And if they can get that going, this ride towards the end of the year is going to be really interesting, because in my book, you got 2 very winnable games here at the end, like Indiana and in Maryland. And then you've got 2 iffy game. Well, 1 iffy game, and then obviously the obvious Ohio State game. So, tests in all 4 weeks. With 2 winnable games, a chance to get the 10 wins here. I think, just a few months ago, we weren't really thinking about 10 wins, but, there's opportunities here to salvage a season. And, and Michigan knows that. They've talked about that all week. They're not going to let this Michigan State game define their season. A lot of opportunity here towards the end of the year to kind of salvage something. And going back to what Zach Zinner said, they can win out, and there's still, they talk about the goals are still in front of them. It is. This isn't just smoke. There's a legitimate chance if they win out that they can still compete for Big Ten championships and the college football playoffs.
Penn State is taking on Maryland this weekend. That is at Maryland. So Michigan's next 2 opponents play each other this week. All right. I wanted to make a transition over to basketball, but, maybe I'll get a prediction out of you from the football game tomorrow. I'm going 38-17 Michigan. I think they'll cover that. We're right around 20-point spread. And, the one part about them is they get into the second half and, they like running the ball, but they've got the J.J. McCarthy factor. And a lot of people, myself included, want to see more from J.J., having him go through the reads. If you're going to have him out there, forget just handing it off. Let's see him, work it down the field. And I think when it comes to margin of score, that will help U of M. And I've picked them a few times here because of that reason. I did that against Northwestern. So, that's my pick. But before you make your selection, people watching can see it right on the screen there about how you can jump on in this great offer right now. We are just getting going here on the Maize and Blue Review, and they have a 30-day free trial to TMBR. You can go to michigan.rivals.com, put in the promo code GOBLUE30, GOBLUE30, 30 days to check it all out and see. We're just a couple days in here. So just getting our feet wet, toe in the water, however you want to put it. But the staff's fired up. Everybody's excited about it. Josh been doing a great job trying to just corral everything in. And I don't know. I don't know if you slept yet, but it's been fun. It's been a blast. And people can get in for the next 30 days and check it all out and make a big time decision. Wow. If they want to just enjoy the ride after that or not. So take advantage of that.
Yes, definitely trying to corral things. And I have slept. I can confirm that I have slept. Not a whole lot, but I have slept. But
what kind of score are you thinking about? What kind of score are you thinking about tomorrow?
So score, let's see. I'm thinking, yeah, like you said, I would like to see a healthy dose of J.J. McCarthy. And I think a lot of that will probably have to do with the score. But I'm predicting, 34-14 Michigan.
Yeah, you would say that, but they had him in there down by the red zone at a tie game in East Lansing last week, and I still don't know exactly. I would have liked Harbaugh to have been a little bit more forthcoming instead of he was working through something, talking about Kate McNamara. But then it was then it was a 3-point game, and we know that they had trouble with the exchange there with McCarthy and Corum. So, heck, man, you can put him in there at any time based on what we saw last week. Mm-hmm. All right, transitioning over to basketball, there is an exhibition game tonight. I wanted to ask you what you were looking forward to the most here. I can give you a little Juwan Howard. I went to the Maize and Blue Review, the TV on YouTube, TMBR TV, and Juwan Howard met with the media yesterday, and he was asked what he's looking for tonight against Wayne State.
A team that's going to go out and compete from start to finish. What I've also been impressed with is we have a group that, is really bought into sharing the basketball and playing for one another.
All right, some pretty straightforward stuff there. Michigan has had a scrimmage against DePaul, but this one is going to be available where people can get in and watch it online here. So what are you thinking? What are you looking forward to the most about tonight?
Yeah, I think, obviously looking forward to, just seeing a healthy rotation of guys coming in, I mean, I don't think this game is going to be particularly close. It's a good sneak preview of what's to come, especially with the young guys like Moussa Diabate and Caleb Houston. Just kind of looking to see, if there's what needs to be worked on, where there's going to be some drop off compared to last year. I know outside shooting has been kind of been a point of discussion. Where is that going to come from with losing guys like Isaiah Livers, who was really good from beyond the arc, and Franz Wagner, and then especially on the defensive side too. For these young guys to play, they're going to have to prove that they are, efficient defensively. So, we'll see. This is a good first step to get some, live competition in front of crowds who, aren't themselves. It'll be interesting to see, like how Frankie Collins can come off the bench, what kind of production you can get from Kobe Buffkin. There's a lot of things that you could try to look for out there, but obviously it's not going to be solved overnight and everything's not going to be figured out after one exhibition. But to kind of see the general attitude of this team and what they're all about, even some of the guys who might not see time this year, I'm thinking maybe more of lines of like a Will Cheddar, maybe even like a Jace Howard as well, who's kind of behind the rotation a little bit as well. So this is a good opportunity for some deeper rotations on the bench before things start to get tightened up here, as the season gets going next week.
Yeah, I think all those things are good points. Because of just pandemic, there's some people that won't go see Michigan at all this year, and the same thing last year. Nobody was going out there. Select few media was able to go to the game. So, but it was 100% entertaining in what they were able to do last year, watching them on TV. Tonight it's just a stream, and it's the first opportunity for a lot of us just to take a look at what they look like in their uniforms, what their numbers look like, who's wearing what. I was listening to, I just mentioned, the TMBR news conference with Juwan Howard. One of the questions was, "Hey, Juwan, what, you wearing a suit tomorrow?" He's like, "We got a lot of options." Then the guy tried to follow up, say, "Well, you gonna wear one?" He's like, "Well, we'll see." He wasn't giving anything away, but all of that, like, I'm a shoe guy. I want to see what they're wearing, and we've seen a little bit like Hunter Dickinson looks like he's lost some weight, but
yeah,
it's always interesting. You get out there, do they have any surprises with the uniform? And as much as I've seen Coastal Carolina, Devontae Jones, what's he going to look like in that Michigan uniform? And, so all of those kind of things that you just look for the first time out, just to see, what's happening there, who's lost weight. I remember last year, Eli Brooks, seeing him, I thought, who's that? Eli Brooks looks all, yoked up. He's like he put on like 10, pounds of muscle. Yeah. And I think he did. You already mentioned it. They got a half dozen freshmen here that everybody, and considering that it is an exhibition and Michigan should be able to, name the score here, I'm looking for every one of those guys to get in and see what they can do. And, I've heard a lot about Kobe Buffkin, and I did see him on, that celebration night throwing down a dunk. So if we get him out in the open floor, maybe there'll be some fun, that way as well. So a lot of good things. I want to remind people that are watching or listening to this right now that after the game, after every Michigan basketball game, 10 minutes after the game, I'm going to fire up this YouTube live and I'm going to talk about what I saw out there. And the great part is we have somebody who was on the team for the last 4 years to come in and help us out and tell us what's going on there. And CJ Baird, who I've been communicating with, and he's coming on tonight, as you can see there on the scroll if you're watching. But if you're listening, 10 minutes after the game, you're like, man, I'm ready. My appetite's wet. I'm ready to go. I want more Michigan basketball. You can get the talk. You can watch it. And we answer questions. We'll do all of that. And one more reminder, I'll do that tomorrow after the football game as well. 10 minutes after the game, a former Wolverine linebacker from the 80s, Jim Scarcelli, is Coach Scar, who's been involved in high school football since his playing days here in the state of Michigan. He's all fired up to come on and talk about what he sees with the maize and blue against the crimson and cream. Is that what they are? The Hoosiers. So, yep, some post games coming your way for the next 2 nights. But yeah, it's I don't want to go too far and say it's like Christmas, morning, opening up the presents or something. But it is like, last year was so fun. Like it wasn't, I say, obviously it wasn't the ultimate. Like, I had 3 shots with under 20 seconds to get to the Final Four, and you get to the Final Four. That is a banner year, but they did get a banner. And Wednesday they'll be raising it up there against Buffalo, so that'll be a great night. And so to come back as the defending champs is something special. And they put together a roster here where it seems like the beat could just keep going on.
Yeah, a lot of talent. A lot of unproven talent, but there's Michigan has the benefit of veteran presence. Obviously, Eli Brooks, Devontae Jones. You can also throw Hunter in there as well because he's been around the block. So yeah, it'll be an interesting mix to see how these young guys can kind of mesh in with the veterans and how quickly they can adapt. They'll probably going to rely on Caleb Houston a lot here in the early going at the wing spot, to get some production that has been gone from, with Franz in the NBA now. And also I forgot about Brandon Johns too. You got to throw Brandon Johns in there. This is a big opportunity for him this year to, really take that starting spot and all the years of, can he break out? Will he break out? This is the year where he can really answer some questions and provide some quality. And I think he'll do just that. I think he's ready for this opportunity. And, why not? I mean, you've got Moussa Diabate breathing down his neck to kind of take some of those minutes. So he's going to be motivated to get out there and cement his spot as a at the 4 spot. So, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that there's plenty of talent on Michigan's basketball program, but it just comes down to, how quickly can these freshmen kind of get through the first year little bumps in the road, in terms of their development. These are 5-star kids for a reason, so usually that happens pretty quickly. But it's all about adjustment, and this exhibition against Wayne State is a perfect opportunity for these guys to see some game action and get some solid film out there to kind of go over and some key learning points to kind of touch on going forward. So really, all in all, this is just a great opportunity for these guys, especially now. Because a good half, probably 75% of that roster right now hasn't played in front of a crowd in college yet. So that'll be good for them too. So that's another adjustment that they have to get used to. But that'll come with the games that pass.
There's a good point about Brandon Johns Jr. and nobody wanted to see Isaiah Livers go out of the lineup late in the year. In fact, it sucked. I mean, They thought maybe they could, take on Gonzaga or Baylor in the championship game. But now that it happened, Johns did get into the starting lineup, and he had 14 in the tournament against Florida State. I mean, he was awesome, actually, in that game. Michigan will raise that banner. They are the defending Big Ten regular season champs, as much as Illinois doesn't want it to happen. And Juwan Howard was asked about being the defending Big Ten champs and having that bullseye.
I think every team in the Big Ten has a bullseye on their back because we're so deep. And last year, by being a new year, there's a new trophy. And we're one of the teams that's going after that trophy.
All right. That's how he's handling it. That's fine. The one part, he's right. There's a lot of teams, you want to start going down to the Northwestern or Indiana. I don't know, but Purdue, Illinois, Ohio State, Maryland, Michigan State. There's a half dozen teams right there. It's Big Ten is loaded.
Yeah, no, I think he's playing a little coy there in terms of him, his response. But yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, there's plenty of competition in the Big Ten. I mean, look at how many teams are in the NCAA tournament last year. Obviously, a good majority of them didn't do very well in terms of what they, their progress in the tournament. But yeah, I mean, to win the conference outright for any team, and not just Michigan, is an achievement in itself. I mean, it's a very tough conference to play in, a very physical conference to play in. And so, he's not wrong. Every game in the Big Ten is going to be tough. With Rutgers coming along as well, Wisconsin is always going to be Wisconsin. So it's just there's no easy win. You're not going to get it easily. You have to go out there and earn it. And yeah, I think he's 100% right. Every night in the Big Ten's a tough night. There's going to be a bullseye on everybody's back. 1 through however many teams are in the Big Ten these days. I have 12, 13, whatever. So yeah, I mean, he's playing coy. I mean, Michigan's definitely got the biggest target of them all on their back because not only they're coming off as Big Ten regular season champs, but a lot of these media outlets and people are talking about Michigan, being a Final Four team and winning the conference again outright. So just naturally there's going to be a bigger bullseye than most. So should be a fun year. I mean, there's a lot of questions, a lot of tests that Juwan has to answer. So, pretty much every year is going to be, is this Juwan's biggest test yet? But, of course, this year, this is Juwan's biggest test yet.
It's the publisher of TMBR. He's got the same initials as the head football coach, JH, Josh Henschke. I just realized that. We've been talking football and basketball. We've got some recruiting to get to as well. I do want to say one thing about the weekend. There's a home and home. There's a maze out tonight at the Yost Ice Arena with Michigan taking on Michigan State. And speaking of, you said Final Four, Frozen Four. I think the expectation for this hockey team, even though they're so young, the 7th youngest team in the country, 15 freshmen and sophomores there for Mel Pearson. That's over half the roster, but we all know they're extremely talented, and there will be no better atmosphere in the country anywhere than tonight at Yost with the maze out. And yeah, I'll give it to the green. We'll have the green line up there at Mont. They have pretty good atmosphere up there as well. They'll be all fired up with their rebuttals from tonight, tomorrow, and probably mixing in a little football stuff in there too. They cross lines occasionally down there at the rink. So that's going to be an awesome night. I wanted to ask you, I got a lot of things to get to here. The banter, the message board here for TMBR has been going here for a couple days. Been looking at that. I've just jumped in. So it's a community of Michigan fans that are on the message board, and I've waded in a few times and replied to some different things, and I've been having a lot of fun. I liked. I kind of went to I'd say a semi-wild position switch thread, and people were coming after me a little bit. And I liked it. They're like, hey, what about this? What about eye position? What about, so it's been great fun there. And I'll if you want to say a word about the message board, I put a question up there for some feedback that I want to get to. The question was if Michigan fans could pick one recruit that they could land, who would it be? And so we're going to get to the Michigan recruiting spotlight, but the banner banter has been as advertised so far. I didn't know 100% what to expect, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat. I didn't really know what to expect when this switch came over, but yeah, it's been great. We're all here for the same reasons. We're all here talking about Michigan. There's undying passion there. I mean, that's not going to change no matter who is running this thing. So yeah, it's been great. People have been very welcoming and very kind in welcoming us, and that's been great. I was very nervous taking this over, not just not because I was worried about the response. It's just the scope of what this message board is and has been in the market for so long. I mean, it's just so massive and expansive. So it's a lot. It's an undertaking, but it's an undertaking in love for me. So I've enjoyed the conversation. I've enjoyed observing and what's going on, and looking forward to many more days of doing that. There's a lot of sports to come, a lot of moments to come forward in the years ahead, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this grows. It's exciting. It's definitely exciting. There's a lot of good going on here, and pretty much everything I envisioned when this thing started is really coming to fruition here, and it's a good feeling to have.
I like it. Well, I posted a question on banter about what we would be talking about when we got to recruiting, and I just asked the folks a pretty simple question, a player that they were hoping to land. And as I go and read off the message board, U of M Swag 22 has chimed in with a diamond, with a jewel emoji, saying Damani Jackson is the jewel of the class. Now, Damani Jackson is a defensive back that's actually rated higher than Will Johnson, who is a 5-star. Jackson, who grew up a Michigan fan, is a commitment to USC, but he is also friends with Will Johnson. A lot of people are hoping, expecting that there might be a flip forthcoming. And then you just think about, wow, you could have Will Johnson on one side, you could have Damani Jackson. That would be awesome. And speaking about being nervous, and if you're a Michigan fan, you may look down to Tuscaloosa this weekend. Alabama is taking on LSU. And Damani Jackson is going to be at that game. He's taking a trip. So I want no DB pick sixes or anything else. I'd like to see maybe, I don't know, like you never know what to expect. Because if you say, well, I'd like to see LSU work them over in the secondary, then you're saying, well, maybe you see some playing time there. I want him to have a good time, but not that good of a time when he goes down there to Tuscaloosa. That's my feeling right now on Damani Jackson. But I've got my fingers crossed that that's going to be a big flip. And a lot of it's going to have to do with Dante Williams, the interim head coach there at USC. He's his defensive back coach. And if whoever takes over, Mel Tucker, I don't know, whoever takes over there at USC, it would behoove them to keep Williams, because that will mean that they would likely be able to keep Jackson. But, stranger things have happened here. And that's one of the things that's going to unfold over the next month or so.
Yeah, I don't envy the position Williams is in at all. Trying to keep a class together, and he's probably not going to be there when the new staff comes in, whoever that may be. Maybe he gets kept, maybe he doesn't. But for a guy in an interim role who really has no idea what's going on in terms of direction, trying to keep a class together, I don't envy that position one bit. But yeah, I mean, anyone who responded to your question with Damani Jackson is I'm 100% on board with. I mean, that solidifying your defensive backs for the immediate future with Will Johnson and Damani would be huge. I mean, that's your immediate future pairing right there, 1 and 2. No matter what way you flip them, it's that's going to be your pairing, and I think that really will go a long way in terms of shoring up some defensive back issues, and not only adding depth, but you're adding NFL talent to that roster. So Yeah, adding that as a defensive, in the defensive back room would be absolutely huge. If it happens, I have no idea if that's going to happen, but that would be a gigantic recruiting win for Jim Harbaugh and staff. There's going to be some opportunities for in-home visits here coming up. Signing day, early signing period is coming up very, very quickly. So, we'll see if there's going to be some movement. Obviously going to Alabama speaks for itself. They put, defensive backs in the league on a yearly basis, so, no matter what they put on the field, they can just show this laundry list of guys that they've got on the field right now for NFL teams and have it speak for themselves. So, there's no doubt Damani's the number one big fish that's still there. That is possible that Michigan can get. Whether it happens or not will be seen. But we've seen some recruits before that say Michigan is their dream school and they go elsewhere. So I don't really take much stock into that until they commit. So we'll see what happens. Like you said, I've seen weirder things happen in the recruiting trail before.
Yeah, I just think about the possibilities. You start dreaming about having those two guys out there, maybe put on an island. Don Brown's probably somewhere like, wow, that would have been awesome. Guys out there, but if you just look at the overall class and how they're ranked, the two others, 2 4-star DBs out of Tennessee that are in this class too. So if you would add Jackson, you have 2 5s and a 4. That sounds like a great secondary and a lot of good things to work with. If you're U of M and, feeling pretty good about that. Back to the message boards here, MIV. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and interpret this as MIV is the IV for Michigan 4. Put those Roman numerals. I'm not sure if that's the case. That's just my interpretation of it. But, I appreciate him getting in here. And M4 says, I'm expecting a big commitment to running. I think Corum and Haskins both go for over 100 plus, and Cade only has 10 to 12 attempts in the first half. I think JJ plays the second and has similar numbers. Michigan 34, Indiana 13, 3-1 with a loss at home to Ohio State. I want Dante Moore more than any other recruit on the board. Just looking to see some Michigan hoops. Want to see how well they pass the ball. Honestly, go blue. All right, that's some great feedback from M4 there. Like his score, 3-1. Would I take that? Maybe when it comes down to the rest of the games. But, yeah, Dante Moore. Michigan right now, they've got the 2 quarterbacks that M4 mentioned. Dan Villari is on the team. Alan Moman came through the transfer portal. He still has 2 more years if you take it out there. They've got a recruit in this upcoming class, and Jaden Denigal, who's out of California, 6'4", 3-star, looking at some of his stuff from last night. And then, Dante Moore. You look at that Rivals 250, and you've got the Manning kid right up at the top there. And then the second 5-star is going to Oklahoma already. And then the third highest rated quarterback is out of the PSL and out of King for the 23 class, Dante Moore. And circle, underline, keep an eye on that. Michigan State, Ohio State. I want him too. So, CJ Carr the following year out of Saline in the 24 class while we're talking about QBs. So I thought what was interesting, so you got McCarthy, who's a 5-star, the Denigal kid from this year's class. I liked his offer sheet when I was like, well, who was he interested in? All that Arkansas, Auburn, Georgia, Michigan State, Utah. He had offers from them, so not too shabby for the kid. But Moore, I think is on a lot of people's radar.
Yeah, it goes without saying you got to protect your backyard in terms of recruiting. When you've got a kid like that in your backyard in a PSL program, you got to get him. You have to get him. No excuses. You got to get them. As if when everyone talks about University of Michigan being the premier program in the state in terms of picking up recruits, they got to live up to that reputation. Obviously they say the best players in Michigan play for Michigan. That's their motto. Well, you got to get them. There's no excuse. If they don't get them, it's a gigantic failure from the staff. This is a generational quarterback that can help mold your program for years to come. An in-state kid who understands the program, who understands the rivalries, This is a kid that could transform the quarterback room and your program, in a major way. And obviously, JJ McCarthy has that opportunity too. I mean, I'm not discrediting JJ or writing him off or anything like that. You need quarterbacks after JJ's done, and going from JJ to probably Dante Moore if you get him, that's almost a seamless transition. And obviously Dante, if they do land him, he's going to push JJ in practice as well. So anytime you have a 5-star in your backyard, you got to get him. There's no excuses. Anything short of that is a failure from the staff in terms of recruiting,
especially a quarterback.
Yeah,
a quarterback. All right.
Absolutely.
Speaking of seamless transitions, we go to the memorabilia minute. 1 minute to talk about some piece of memorabilia that I can find here in the Peach Mountain Studios. And because basketball is going on tonight, as a member of the media, Josh, you will get different trinkets and things that you go to bigger events. And back at the Final Four, here it is with Michigan getting ready and having their eyes on the Final Four when it was played here in Detroit in 2009. It'd have been great if Michigan would have been there. That would have been the topper on all of it. It ended up being North Carolina. They cut down the nets. But, what do you do with the pins? You get them. It's like, hey, pretty cool pin. Give it to somebody. I've got it stuck around here somewhere. So I pulled it out. There it is for the Michigan Minute. Before we leave, you heard the audio at the very beginning. I'll play some of this, and then I want your reaction to what everybody is saying. And we do start out with Devontae Jones. We'll see the transfer from Coastal Carolina tonight. He was asked about adjusting to Michigan.
I mean, at Coastal, I just did whatever was necessary for us to win. At Michigan, Juwan told me to come in and just be me. So I'm not really a scoring guard. That was just something I had to do when I was at Coastal. I love passing the ball. So I'm coming in the perfect situation. I'm coming in passing the ball to guys I know that can knock down shots. That I can make plays on their own. So it's just been an easy transition. I haven't really had to change anything, honestly. This really who I am, just a pass first guard that can score when needed.
All right, that's music to my ears. Pass first point guard, everything else. Any thoughts there on Devontae Jones?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really surprising. I mean, Devontae is coming from a very similar situation as Mike Smith did last year in terms of being the guy and having to produce for the team because you didn't really have anyone that could around you. So, I mean, he's entering a program that's structured, that doesn't have to rely on one guy to score points. There's going to be plays for guys. There's going to be opportunities for others. So, from everything that I've heard about Devontae from the practices, that he's a true two-way guy, with an emphasis on defense. So I don't think you really have to worry about defensive lapses from the point guard position, which is encouraging. But yeah, I mean, he's going to be a guy that can distribute the ball. I think he's a better shooter than Mike Smith. I think he's not giving himself enough credit in terms of his shooting ability. But again, they don't have to rely on him so much right now. They will probably have to rely on his veteran status, I think, a little bit to kind of, get the young guys not necessarily locked in, but in keeping them in line, making sure they're not making mistakes, and if they do, correct their mistakes and things like that within games. But I mean, everything that he said, I pretty much expected that to occur, and will occur in games moving forward. But I think the most exciting thing about him that he didn't necessarily talk about is his defensive ability. I mean, a really long wingspan, ability to disrupt passes, which was something that Franz did really, really well last year, that they're going to miss. His wingspan, his length, that just made him such a great defender. But having that at a point guard spot is going to be really good for this program. So he's nothing short of an excellent, addition to the team.
I think he's old enough to be on the staff. Eli Brooks, who's the captain, is 23 years old. So is Devontae Jones. Is there another backcourt in the country, that both guys are 23 years old? I haven't looked it up, but I'm going to go ahead and say no. Here's Hunter Dickinson talking about not only tonight's game, but his approach to this year's season?
I think we're still kind of the underdogs. Like, we're not overwhelmingly picked to, win the conference. We still are like battling with Purdue and like a lot of polls to see, who's going to win the conference. And, we're not ranked number 1 in the country. So I feel like, oh, that was the line. He said, we're not the hunted, we're the hunter. No pun intended on my name. But I think, that's a great point. Like, we're not like the number 1 team in the country. We're not the only overwhelming favorite in our conference. And so I think for us, I think we're still like, the team that's hunting down other teams. I think we have a chip on our shoulder still. And, that's what I'm trying to play with for sure.
There he is, hunted Dickinson.
Yeah. I get what he's saying. I mean, again, I think he's being a little coy in terms of, where, he views the team. But again, he's not wrong. I think if anytime you as a program kind of turn yourself into, the hunted, I think that's when you lose. I think you always have to have that hunter mentality, no matter where you are, first place or last place. So I think having that mentality is going to be good for this program to keep them, level-headed and not worrying and they never really have worried about where they're sitting in terms of standings and polls and all that stuff. So in that regard, I think, Hunter is speaking some truth there, but yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. I think, having that attitude of an underdog mentality, I guess, is good for a certain aspect. I mean, again, I don't necessarily think they're an underdog heading into this year. But if that's what they want to think in order to motivate themselves, then, so be it. It's worked for them in the past. So, let's just say it won't work for them again in the future.
Thoughts, whatever works. All right. Back-to-back football cuts to close it out here. I'll go defense, offense. David Ajabo and then Zach Zinter. These guys talking about the players-only meeting this week that they had, and also how to get rid of last weekend. Ajabo, then Zinter.
I would take this back, and use this as motivation for a bounce back instead of, like I said, no pointing fingers, no blaming nobody, no blaming the coaches, refs. Just all to pick each other up and just keep rolling. Start over, season not over.
We're moving on. It didn't ruin our season. We still got everything we want in front of us. We're going to win out and kind of just let it be the past. Tough loss, but we're moving on. Can't do anything about it.
All right, Josh, we're moving on to Indiana. You like where they're coming from? I mean, they're saying the right things.
Yeah, they're saying the right things. We'll find out on Saturday if that's the case. But yeah, I mean, I would be shocked if they said anything else regarding how they feel after Saturday's game. And they're right. There's still plenty to play for. There's some they might need a couple of fortunate bounces here with other teams beating other teams, but there's opportunity there, and yeah, they're saying all the right things. They can't let one loss beat them twice. I think 2 losses pretty much essentially just kind of eliminates them from conference hopes. So yeah, we'll see tomorrow whether this is really truly have that bounce back mentality. I think not necessarily a slow start, but a tough game against Indiana might make some people nervous, but I think the best remedy for them going forward is just to come right out and, assert their dominance, especially on both lines. If they can do that, they might be able to, quiet some people down for at least another week.
Well, I know this as a publisher. I know you have to be a writer, but I can say now you're a dual threat guy because, man, you can talk it up, man. We've almost filled up an hour straight, just going and talking. So you can do it both. I definitely appreciate your time and have a great weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend here. Message boards going crazy. You saw the chance there to get on in and the 30-day free trial to the Maize and Blue Review. Go to michigan.rivals.com. There's the promo code. It's GoBlue30. So michigan.rivals.com. 3 30-day free trial. So jump on that, and we look forward to seeing you there. Josh, I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks so much, and have a great weekend.
You too, Dennis. I appreciate it.
Get some sleep.